pyramid doesn't work. We've already tried it.
It's upside down.
What?
Sir, the pyramid is upside down.
Turn the pyramid upside down.
You can't be serious. That would put butter and fat at the top
Flip the damn food pyramid!
Welcome to She's Got Guts.
Welcome.
This is Caitlin. Caitlin is here with us, queen of the fourth trimester.
Oh my God, thank you. What an honor. I'm very excited.
The reason Caitlin is here, beside the fact that we love her so much, is because Caitlin is, like me, a dietitian. Dietitian is someone who has to go to an accredited school that they get accepted to that has specific regulations that they have to follow. We have a certain curriculum that we learn, and then we do a 1,200-hour internship, and then we take a board exam, and then we must do 75 hours of continuing ed every 5 years. So the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist is that the term nutritionist isn't regulated. Now, there are lots of certifications that are involved in people who want to up their game and understand the nutrition world better. Like a certified nutrition specialist, that's an exam. It's not a exam by the Department of Health like the dietitian is. And then there are people like Lara who have a huge scope of knowledge in nutrition and have gone to study something else, but nutrition is part of that study.
But yeah, you girls are the ones who know the things.
And you went to medical school in Chinese. So between the three of us, we'll be able to explain this.
Too much school.
We'll try to explain.
Yeah, we will try. I don't know if anyone can. Just telling you guys what the dietary guidelines are, and then Kate and I will kind of tell you our opinions, and Lara is going to ask questions and give us her opinion as well, and we're going to have a great informed discussion here that is not biased, and food is political, but we're going to make it as neutral as possible for the sake of your listening pleasure, no matter who you are. Here we go. With the dietary guidelines for Americans are a guide that were created many years ago, don't have the facts in front of me, basically to drive guidelines for institutional and inpatient food service. So like how much are we supposed to feed the kids? What does the meal need to consist of? How much are we supposed to feed people who are incarcerated or people who are just a regular general healthy population that happen to be in the hospital for a broken leg? What needs to be on their tray? And those guidelines evolve every 5 years or so to reflect the changing nutrient needs. Back in 2009, the dietary guidelines changed. So before that, it was a food pyramid. That pyramid had grains at the bottom of it and said 8-ish servings of grains. The next step up, I'll pull up that old pyramid while we're talking. Original food pyramid. Britannica Encyclopedia, which cannot think of a better source for this. The original food pyramid, and I'll link this in the show notes, 6 to 11 servings of grain on the bottom of that pyramid. The next rung was 3 to 5 servings vegetables, 2 to 4 servings fruit. Next rung, milk, cheese, yogurt, and meat, poultry, fish. So there was 2 to 3 servings of dairy, 2 to 3 servings of meat. That included beans and nuts in that meat, poultry, fish section. And then finally, fats, oils, and sweets used sparingly. This was from 2005. So in 2009, we stopped that puppy and we moved on to MyPlate. MyPlate, far more generalized and follows more of the guidelines that we all want to see, which are, it's got to be a 5th grade reading level and below. And it has to be something that we can really, yeah, because we want it's for the general population. We want them to be able to understand.
Yeah, but that's real sad.
Where public health
grade.
meets academia. Welcome.
That's like 9.
Yeah.
9 years old.
Some people can't read.
Okay, great. We got to keep it nice and simple.
We want to keep it simple.
Here we go.
My plate has a quarter of the plate fruit, a quarter of the plate vegetables, a quarter of the plate starch, now, and a quarter of the plate protein. Now, starch could be corn on the cob, or peas, or beans, or a small baked potato with the skin. There are lots of different ways that we can encompass starch into a diet that don't mean white bread. On the corner of that My Plate was a little glass of dairy. Again, I'll put that graphic in the show notes. I have seen other adaptations where it was a glass of water or said, hydrating liquid. And we used that plate to describe to people, to show them a graphic that said, this is what we want your plate to look like, which inspired, like when I look at my plate, is there color? Is there protein? Kate, tell me how you were using My Plate if you were to be teaching someone.
I actually use a variation of My Plate with my own clients because I to be able to intuitively take what they're already doing and just modify it. So I do half a plate being some fruit, veggie, whatever, high fiber fruit or veg, and then a quarter carb of some sort, preferably whole grains, and a quarter protein of some sort. Most of the time that's meat. And then I do recommend topping with fats. Like we know fats are super important for pregnancy and breastfeeding and all that. So I use like essentially my plate. I make my own little version of it,
Cute.
but that's what I use for my own clients and it works really well. So that was actually my biggest disappointment.
No
Not to
graphic.
like jump ahead, but I feel like that was so digestible for just like normal people.
Yeah.
And I was upset to see it go
For the
because like I don't even.
So now we're back to the pyramid. Is that
It's
what's
an
happening?
upside
We
down
went
pyramid.
Plate, pyramid.
Okay,
We went pyramid, right side up, plate, and now we're upside down pyramid.
I'm confused by it though because I saw somewhere and it kind of made sense to me that it's not really a pyramid at all. And it's just like happens to be arranged in a triangle, but that it's not intended to be hierarchical like the old pyramids were.
Oh, yeah,
I'm-
right.
What?
Well, I'm confused because where are we supposed to get our carbs from?
Underneath the line.
Like we're supposed to have that little.
This is very confusing. Tell me that again. You said it's supposed to be like a wraparound pyramid.
Essentially,
Are we putting this on top of the flat Earth?
It's a
What is
downward
happening right
spiral.
now?
well, I'm just like, it can't be hierarchical that like whole grains are spawn of the Satan at the bottom of the pyramid. Like, and that was my thought. Like, we
Yeah.
need carbs.
Yeah.
So someone said, like,
Yeah.
I saw on social media that they were like, it's really not a pyramid. Like, it's just the three main groups are organized into a triangle shape.
The three. So they turned the plate into a triangle.
You know, the picture is just one part of the dietary guidelines. So I'm like, I get that that's not everything, but I
And no
feel
one
like
pays
if
attention to
I
it.
am confused, right? And like,
Yeah.
if I'm confused by the picture, then
Also, how is a 9-year-old gonna understand this?
We can't.
Yeah.
Right.
And we are educated. Wow. Okay. Well, so what are the highlights from the pyramid though? What are they saying? Is it like the 90s when what is this? Is this the USDA doing this? Okay, so when the USDA and the American Heart Association are like, you can't have as much fat.
No,
we need to
no, you
change
should
it.
have all the
So,
fat.
I know, but in the 90s, the American
Right.
Heart Association was like, no, you can't
Right.
have fat. So no. So they're, in cahoots together, which is obvious. But okay, so what's the deal now? Do they want us to have fat?
Well, a couple things are happening. The pyramid
Yeah.
or the cone of silence or whatever we want to call it.
Maybe
Two
not
tickets to
cone.
paradise.
Stay away from cone.
When you read something, your eye naturally goes to the top left, like you're reading a book. And what is placed right there is a ribeye steak that looks like it's a 16-ounce ribeye steak. So it's not even like a normal size portion looking of meat, okay? One of the things that they're touting is that they are finally ending the war on protein put forth by lobbyists for grain. But the loudest
Da, 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 da.
and
Wow.
biggest lobbyists really and the industries that have the most money behind them are meat and dairy. The fact that meat and dairy are up there at the top just says we switched one political lobbying alliance for another one.
Yeah.
That's
boom,
number one.
Here we are.
Number two, the way that they worded it is eat real food, and the website is actually realfood.gov/DGA.
Oh.
But my plate was your plate, and we loved it. We
Yeah,
loved it.
the plate was great.
Now it says the message is simple: eat real food. To capital Make America Healthy Again, we must return to the basics. American households must prioritize diets built on whole, nutrient-dense foods: protein, dairy, vegetables, fruits, and healthy fats, and whole grains.
Okay.
Well, that's what we were already doing.
Right.
It's kind of like they made the message falsely acting like it's ending this war, and we have updated our stance, and they were trying to keep you sick, and now we want you to eat real food. But that's not true. And very few things actually changed. Do you want to talk about what changed, Kate?
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, they act like it's very revolutionary. And the biggest change, honestly, is that they're like promoting things with higher saturated fat content, which I'm not scared of saturated fats. Like, I would just say that I'm not scared. Like, a lot of people have like very hard stances on that. But it's like the biggest change that I saw is that we're promoting saturated fats and then still telling people to maintain under 10%, what is that, of their total calories per day?
Correct. In a 2,000 calorie diet at 9 calories per gram of fat, that's 22 grams of saturated fat total. In my newsletter, I calculated this. A 12-ounce ribeye cooked in 1 tablespoon of butter is 19 grams of saturated fat. And so that's one dish of one meal. So for us who understand what they're actually saying, they're showing you one thing, which is, yeah, healthy fats and more protein, and it's animal protein. Like their beans are, it looks like somebody took a dump on a bowl of rice, and I think that's supposed to be a bean. That's the only bean in the whole shebang.
I was very disappointed, like justice for beans, because I love meat, dairy, cheese, right? Like I'm for it. I'm disappointed in the beans.
That's a concern. Beans are the GOAT.
Yes.
They're the best food.
Yep.
They're the cheapest food.
That's another thing, and I don't want to like jump ahead
No,
onto
it's
another,
fine.
but like this, I feel looks very intimidating to someone who is financially struggling. Like,
Right.
yeah, like beans, like we just said, it's a great source of so many nutrients and protein and fiber, and
Iron.
it's cheap and it's shelf stable. Yeah. And that's like literally in the dark on this thing, pyramid, whatever.
Right. They're saying support grass-fed, and they even say grass-fed several times in the document. If 13% of the United States is food insecure, and 45% of the United States reports that they think organic food is too expensive and don't buy it, then we're looking at roughly 60% of the population who will not be going to the farmer's market to pay $13 a pound for something that's $8 a pound at Walmart, is supporting factory farms. Whether you're saying it is or not, like the fact of the matter is, if you're going to eat animal protein within a middle-class grocery budget, then you're not going to the farmer's market. I actually costed it out. When you buy vegetables at the farmer's market, that you get more and they last longer than the grocery store. So it is cheaper to buy produce there, but meat is a pound for pound equation, and you can see that there's a significant difference between something that like somebody would literally name the cow and like kissed him and hugged him and raised him on the mountain, versus a factory farm.
I don't, like, to be real, I'm financially okay, and I don't do that because
It's expensive.
I don't feel like I have the expendable budget to be, I would love to like go buy half a cow from a local farmer, and I don't even feel like that's in my budget right now. So I can only imagine how this looks and feels to the average American
Who doesn't know
who's
you can
coming
even
in.
buy half a cow?
Like, we're already overwhelmed by the wellness hacking and
Right.
social media telling us to eat X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't think what they're saying is that bad. I think the way
No.
it's presented is really, I don't know the right word, just
Irresponsible.
yeah, it's not going to make actual progress for the majority of Americans, which is what this is intended for.
They do.
Well, the thing is they're trying to make it work with guidelines. They were already very difficult in the past. Like, as dietitians, we have all these projects in undergrad of like
Right.
making a school nutrition menu in the budget that schools have, and the
It's like
dietary
12
guidelines.
cents.
It was already felt impossible to do that as someone who has done that. And now you're telling me to prioritize things high in saturated fat and make saturated fat less. Like, it's literally what they're saying is actually impossible.
It's not
to achieve.
possible. And the point of updating dietary guidelines and laws and regulations in the healthcare industry and in the government healthcare sector is to make progress. So when we say make progress, we mean make it more accessible for the American people, make something that is going to actually reduce chronic disease outcomes, which I would like to get to really quickly here in a minute, but also like thinking about how can we create an environment where it's easier to be healthy and thrive, and where we're feeding our kids an appropriate ratio of foods. So the biggest change is that the protein recommendation used to be 0.6 to 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which a kilogram is 2.2 pounds. The new recommendation is 1.2 grams to 1.6 grams per kilogram. Recommendations for 150-pound women have gone from about 40 grams per day to about 100 grams per day. It doubled.
Which I don't think.
We don't disagree with that.
Like, I think the protein raising is actually good.
Yes.
But Also,
because it's super confusing to explain. But here's the thing. These guidelines are for the general healthy population. Now, a 350-pound man with no chronic diseases, but let's say he's 5'10", he is not the general healthy population, but he thinks he is. And I'm not saying whether he is or not. BMI is a poor measure of health, but what BMI tells us as people who are literally telling you how much you need to eat based on your kilograms of body weight, it tells us that then that 350-pound man now needs 270 grams of protein per day. And because he is obese, he actually is taxing the shit out of his kidneys. And his kidneys have a one-way ticket to the trash can because he's already probably insulin resistant. So there's already a lot of sugar in his blood that's also taxing his kidneys. And he doesn't know that the recommendation is lower for him because he is a bit over what would be considered, the kind of target population that they're talking about in these guidelines. Because he looks like most Americans and he doesn't have any chronic disease, there's no reason for him to think that his recommendation would be different. So that's one of my major concerns, is that we're setting people up for chronic disease faster than they would have, and we're not explaining to anybody the nuance. And nutrition is just so nuanced. This isn't even for institutions.
part of this is also that they took our last round of dietary guidelines were 164 pages, just look that up to confirm it, and put it down into 11 pages. So the old guidelines listed all the nuance. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. They have so much in there. They have a massive section on pregnancy and lactation. They have one on estimated calorie needs, age-based and sex-based groups, all kinds of like healthy lifestyle patterns are in here too. So they've now taken all of this that I'm sure someone like poured their life's work into 11 pages, and it lost all the nuance, which I understand to the public, real food. And
yeah, it says eat the right amount for you. Well, we were already saying that with my plate. Prioritize protein foods at every meal. Same. Consume dairy. Don't necessarily agree with that. It does say something about gut health, but just that your gut has bacteria. And it mentions UPF's highly ultra-processed foods. It's saying ultra-processed foods can be detrimental to your gut health and they should be limited. So I think we appreciate that, but eat fruits and vegetables throughout the day. Duh. Incorporate healthy fats. Yep. Focus on whole grains. But with the image, you wouldn't think that you would be focusing on whole grains because there's a line at the bottom and bread is underneath the line.
Part of where I was like, is this even supposed to be hierarchical? Because then in the text under the image, they say emphasize whole grains.
Right.
And I'm like, it's contradictory to what it you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like the alcohol recommendation went away. So it used to be 1 drink for women, 2 for men. And now it's drink less. And when they asked Dr. Oz about it, who I guess is like a member of the government now, but he's like a member of the government. What is he? Dr. Oz.
Really scary.
Oh my God. And his face has gotten weirder and weirder. He's the administrator for the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, appointed in 2025. So Dr. Oz said, well, alcohol is a social lubricant, and what's more healthy than socializing with people you love? In a perfect world, you wouldn't drink, but it makes me need a social lubricant. Like, you need a drink after you read this. There's 1 half page on birth to 4 years. There's 1 page on that includes food from infant to age 18, 1 page. Then there's pregnant women is 1 paragraph, lactating women is 1 paragraph, and older adults is 1 paragraph, when we have like 1 billion, million, trillion older adults that will be the only ones reading this. So I think what they did was try to make it more accessible, and I think that they're running on like if you keep basically Republicans in office, then you can expect that we're going to listen to you and we're going to tell you how to biohack so that you don't have to listen to the wellness grifters. But meanwhile, not everybody needs to be biohacking.
I've honestly put off thinking about these guidelines a lot. Like, I've seen so many people post about it online. I've been like, well, honestly, there's some good stuff, some questionable stuff. I'm not changing what I recommend based on it. So, But now hearing the stuff that you're saying, I'm like, oh shit. Like, I'm just like, what's going on? Because like we have so much research, and I
I know.
understand wanting to like make this concise for the general public. Like I can appreciate that, but maybe make like another document that
Yeah.
shows all the nuance and all of the like plethora of research that we have that explains depth to any of this. Like it's just scary.
Right. They're pushing that they changed the old pyramid to this pyramid, but the old pyramid hasn't been used since 2009. And when you read comments like Caitlin and I are stupid enough to do, then you're seeing people say, make America healthy again. And listen, again, this has nothing to do with whether you like the administration or not, but make America healthy again. They fixed the pyramid. Well, the pyramid was gone. The pyramid exists only in Encyclopedia Britannica 2005 edition. So I don't understand how stupid you can be. And then there are people from other countries. Oh, well, the Americans were still using that food pyramid like that. No wonder they're so fat. Like, that's why I don't live there. It's like, no, we weren't. No, we weren't. We weren't. We were using the
I will
plate.
say my plate did include grains on the last edition of it. But I think
Well,
that if you were to interpret what we now have as this thing upside down pyramid question mark, and you put that into the plate, it
exactly the
depends on
same.
interpretation.
Right.
Is it hierarchical? Are they saying there's three main groups to focus on? It says that. It's actually funny you bring up chronic disease because it specifically says in the second paragraph, it says the United States is amid a health emergency. Nearly 90% of healthcare spending goes to treating people who have chronic diseases. Many of these illnesses are not genetic destiny, they are the predictable result of the standard American diet. A diet which, over time, has become reliant on highly processed foods and coupled with a sedentary lifestyle. Yet they don't give recommendations to correct said sedentary lifestyle. And the guidelines really didn't change that significantly from like we didn't recommend ultra processed foods in the past. So it's not that the guidelines were crappy before, it's that no one followed them because it wasn't made accessible enough and we didn't fix any of those gaps to fix the chronic disease issue. So it's very ironic you brought that up.
There was also like whoever is running the marketing for HHS is bringing more awareness to these guidelines than anyone has ever had before. Like the fact that 90% of the people who seem interested in this didn't even know that we were using My Plate means that there was a poor job done in the past. And these guidelines are updated every 5 years, but the graphic doesn't necessarily get updated every 5 years. And there are small tweaks, like maybe you go from 3,000 milligrams of sodium for a healthy person to 2,500, then back to 3,000. You know, it just kind of depends on some of the research that comes out, which has kind of been brought to a halt anyway with, trying to fix the spending in the NIH and all of that. But the whole thing about people were not aware that they even existed does tell us that they're going to continue to not really pick up on much after this initial craze happens. Like something else is going to happen, just like with all new cycles, and this will be done. And when that happens, all people will remember is that ribeye steak at the top left. Like they're not going to remember anything else in this cone of silence. So I think that the problem is not only are people not going to put them into practice, but now, like for chronic kidney disease, if someone gets in a car accident and their face is smashed and they need to be tube fed, then we feed them, depending on what stage of chronic kidney disease they're in, around zero point 0.5 grams of protein per kilogram. Versus now, what's the recommendation for chronic kidney disease? And if you overfeed someone who's critically ill and who's unconscious, then that creates too much CO2 and their lungs can't handle it. So you can't give people too much protein when you're feeding them using math alone. And the issue here for me is that if this is only supposed to be for institutions and those recommendations aren't going to change without decades of research, then what's the point? We have no research showing that if you feed a chronically ill person zero point 0.8 instead of, whatever it is, or an obese person or whatever it is. It's just like there's no way that we're going to start feeding children twice as many chicken nuggets at lunch. Like that's not happening. So then what's the point of this pyramid? because we need so much research. So if they had head and neck cancer and they were living off being tube fed, they're all getting tube fed by the same recommendations by the American Society of Enteral and Parenteral Nutrition. They're not going to change. So this doesn't matter for that. But like for the school kids or for prisons, is this going to now change how much protein they're getting?
I would bring back the plate first. I think that was very simple, easy. Everyone can understand it. It's like a great resource for institutions, also for like educational material. As far as actually, because I think the gap is not what the guidelines were. I think the gap is people don't follow the guidelines either due to a lack of awareness, which we're now closing that gap. Marketing's great, apparently, or a lack of accessibility. And I think it was a mix of both. I don't know the accessibility answer. I honestly avoid thinking about it quite often because it's so overwhelming. But I mean, we could have much more affordable food on this pyramid,
Yes.
on this thing.
Yes. I would have kept the plate and I would have used the photos, the same photos that they use, maybe made the steak a little smaller, but the same photos that they use to show what kinds of things go in the protein category and put emphasis on we've increased the protein recommendations. So so in order to do that, use these proteins. Like if you're vegan, if you're on a budget, beans and rice are a complete protein. Quinoa has protein in it, but it's also a complex carb. So maybe there'd be like a little section that was like carbs and protein or like combination foods, and kind of have it be a little more outlined. We can't even tell if this is supposed to be because there's butter is near the bottom. Then there's a rotisserie chicken right next to the ground beef and the steak. But they did a lot right. Like they added eggs. They hadn't recommended eggs for years, so I'm really glad they added eggs. They put
Really?
emphasis on healthy fats. Yeah, it's controversial, but they put emphasis on healthy fats like avocado. And like I'm fine with using regular butter. I'm fine with people eating whole fat dairy. I think that those are for the general population fine. But when we look at how they're kind of vilifying grains, like by saying there's a war on protein, what you're saying is now there's a war on grains with the image. And they didn't really group things together very well because bananas are at the bottom and carrots are at the top, but frozen peas are at the top, and those are a carbohydrate rich vegetable versus carrots, which have almost no carbohydrates in them. So like it's not making the math is not mathing for the brain. And like the way they showed potatoes, it's hard to tell that that's a potato. Like I said, beans and nuts seem like they're closer to the bottom when for many Americans that's a fantastic source of protein. So I think yes, if we had used the plate and if we had explained what actually changed instead of saying, well, now we care about you, saying we're going to mention the gut microbiome, we're going to mention ultra processed foods, like we're not afraid to talk about these things, but to make this clear for you what this means is. And I think in some of the wording they've done that, but at the expense of saying everyone who ever made any dietary recommendation before now was against you. And we want to bring everyone together over a glass of wine to biohack. Never mind that.
I never thought about it from that perspective, but it does really discredit everything that has been recommended in the past, even though it wasn't that. It really does.
It was
like
the exact same thing, except for the protein and the eggs and the saturated fat, which actually isn't different. It was 10% before and it's 10% now. So they said they're happy about it, but it's the same recommendation. The messaging and people on the internet are, oh, well, and then someone today said to me, well, my plate was just as bad as the old pyramid. And I wrote a whole thing, and I did write a whole thing. And I said, with respect and curiosity, and I looked at a profile nutritionist selling something. I said, with respect and curiosity, what didn't you like about the plate? Because the way that we explain it is this quarter is starch. Starch could be green peas or beans. This quarter is protein. Well, an 8-ounce steak can fit in the quarter of the plate. So let's relax because we could always fit, at roughly 10 grams per ounce. Animal protein so that's 80 grams of protein. Now in an 8-ounce steak, there's probably only 65, but still, it's a tremendous amount of protein that you're getting in a quarter of a plate if you're actually putting that much on your plate, which you're not. And that's the bigger problem versus like, plus then I said, half your plate, colorful fruits and vegetables. Like, how is that different than eat real food? And there was dairy next to the old my plate. So nothing has changed. It was just easier to understand. And that person did not come from me. They had no response.
I think that people who are because I've seen pretty much every dietitian saying a lot of the same stuff that we talked about today of like, it's just frustrating because this is a step backwards. And every other like general population person is in their comments very angry. And I think it is genuinely political, like fueled politically, because there's like no way you can back this up with data and research and actual science to say that this is a step forward. Like it's all opinion based and subjective. If you're saying it's a step forward, like that's your opinion, that's not based in science. And so it's like very politically fueled and just polarizing. And it's like food is the one thing that should not be like polarizing us.
Well, but now it's just eroding trust in like medical professionals. Like I had a video that I posted that said like, I went to school, blah, 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 just to fight with people about the carnivore diet. I posted it a year ago. I got the nicest comments that were so fun. I repurposed it a year later. Yeah, you wasted your life. Sorry about that. No offense, but I don't need someone with a piece of paper to tell me how to eat. I was like, well, I don't work with men. Like, as good as that made me feel, I don't work with men. But I had to, like, some of them were so mean that I, like, actually had to delete them because, like, then people start to pile on. And it's not about me. It's just about, like, trying to keep it a safe space. But it's like, how could you be mad? Like, how could you be angry at me or for me that I chose to understand metabolism and abide by a code of ethics? Like, that's it. How could it be upsetting to people that someone is educated? Like, since when is that a bad thing? And I think that this further, because everyone who actually knows what's happening is saying, this is weird. Like, if nothing else, it's weird. Like, there's good, there's bad, but it's fucking weird. And everyone is saying, oh, well, those dietitians, they just want us to stay sick. And that is the upsetting part, because we're the only ones that actually are going to be affected by this, because we're the only ones that are speaking out against this stupid tornado.
I read somewhere, and I have not confirmed this, that there was only one dietitian on the board that created this, when in the past it was primarily like created by dietitians, updated by dietitians. Like dietitians were the ones sifting through research, and there was only one on this whole team. And
Because
it's
how are
like,
you trying to push through an increase in protein like that without making it clear where that applies
one,
in
I
our
just
lives?
don't get, like, no one even knows what dietitians do or like how far our education goes, and that it's more than you just researching something on Google,
Right.
and that like there is so much nuance and biochemistry and like crazy shit to your nutrition. And then they like make this with people who, I mean, I guess Dr. Oz helped.
I
I don't
don't,
know. But I'm just it's just sad because I think it, like
yeah.
you said, it vilifies us and like loses trust, but also like literally did not even incorporate dietitians at all in the process of it. When Mel Robbins made her protein shot, the war on
Oh my
protein is
God, which is
over.
all collagen, and the digestibility score is only 47%. Think
That's like
about
a whole
it.
nother podcast.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that you're not, when you go to the doctor now, you're not getting a picture of a plate that says half of the plate, colorful fruits and vegetables. You're getting the cone of shame.
What
And
is this? Like, what is
like,
that?
what am I supposed to eat? And how much of it? Like 2 shrimp and 1 nut?
There's like one peanut and
Yeah.
4 whole carrots and an entire whole chicken.
Yeah.
Like ratios go crazy.
It's
And
just
like
like
10 grains of oats.
and yeah, you could print out the 11-page document, but no doctor's office is going to do that, which would at least add some clarification. What are we going to do? Right. Like the amount of money that they've spent, like remixing that South Park video and marketing this and holding all these press conferences, they could have, and paying people to make this graphic, they could have really poured into, okay, why if the beef, like, because what happened was their demand went up for beef, and then they said, we don't have enough cows, and it takes so many years for a cow to get older. Well, the cows are old. So why hasn't beef why haven't beef prices gone down? You know, lots of things have normalized in the economy. So why do grocery inflation is up 70% since 2020. So where is that? It doesn't like stabilize.
If you took time to actually increase accessibility through these resources and
Right.
making ways that you can save money and, a budget healthy grocery list and how to use these foods so that they don't go to waste and stuff like that, it probably wouldn't cost that much more than the stuff people are already buying, but they don't know what to buy or what to do with it, or
Right.
like obviously it's not going to be a ribeye, but like beans and canned tuna and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like
Right.
probably the same cost as the ultra processed food that they're used to, but they're unfamiliar. And instead of closing that gap, we do this.
If we did some kind of education surrounding how you feel after you eat a bag of hot Cheetos versus how you feel after you eat a bag of grapes, and like how full you are if you're food insecure, like the Cheetos seem cheaper, but maybe the grapes will fill you up more, and they're actually the same price in terms of like how long it's going to take you to eat them. Plus you're getting water and fiber, so maybe you have to buy one less bottle of water because a lot of places where they're food insecure, the water's not great. And so all of those things could be a point of education instead of just saying there's a war on protein. And the long and short of it is it's up to you. So whatever decision you have is your free will, but please understand that being mindful about what goes into your body has always been a theme. Dietitians love you, and like literally we just go through extra pain to make sure that you're really taken care of very well. And this is a problem because it's confusing to you, and that's it. We don't disagree with needing more protein for the most part. I don't think we disagree with being more judicious with sodium in terms of not everybody needs to limit it, or looking at the gut microbiome or eating real food. So when you see these arguments happening online, just understand that a lot of where this comes from is with the general public in mind, us understanding things that maybe most people wouldn't realize. Caitlin, do you have anything to add?
I think you said that perfectly. Like we have put ourselves through hell to to be able to speak on this and be told to shut up. And we have really good intentions. I mean, we want what's best for the majority, and it feels like a lot of the world is working against that. And that is why we're come off as angry at times. Like
We
we're
won't
not
shut
angry,
up.
being passionate.
So if you're listening to this, yes, and someone says the new food pyramid, you can say, we haven't used the food pyramid since 2009. And then they'll tell you they hate you, and you'll know how we feel. All
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
right.
But I mean, it just shows it is on us as people who like have social media platforms, podcasts. Like, it's up to us to disseminate the
Yes.
information that we feel is actually helpful and influential. And it just makes it more important than ever for us to speak our truth and get that information out there and show up every day for the people that need this type of thing. So
Absolutely.
lots of up leveling going on the past few months. But I'm on Instagram mostly at postpartum.nutritionist. And I have support for women trying to conceive on their fertility journey, pregnancy, and postpartum breastfeeding. So you can find me there.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you guys.
please.
Always fun with
Okay.
you guys.
So make sure that you subscribe to our podcast and let us know what you want to hear about. And we will be more than happy to hit that anytime. So whatever questions you have. But thanks for coming by today and for giving us this time to explain to you some of the nuance about this. Thank you so much for listening. We offer personalized support to clients in many ways and would love to work with you. Reach out to Lara at Lala's Wellness and Molly at Women's Gut Health for more information. Unlock your full health and hormone potential with Super Cube, Boom Bomb, and Best Tea. Check out the link in the show notes for more. See you next Saturday.